Hey there, extraordinary treasurers. To comply with U.S. Department of Labor laws, anyone who is hired must be classified either as an employee or an independent contractor. There are very specific rules governing each of these. The IRS has a 20-point test that can help you decide if a hire is an employee or an independent contractor. If an employee relationship exists, merely paying them as an independent contractor does not make them one. Here are a few of the comparisons. In furnishing tools and equipment, employees are furnished all necessary tools, materials, and equipment by their employer. An independent contractor ordinarily provides all of the tools and equipment necessary to complete the job. Payment. An employee is typically paid by the employer in regular amounts at stated intervals, such as by the hour or week. An independent contractor is normally paid by the job, either a negotiated flat rate or upon submission of a bid. Business and travel expenses. An employee's business and travel expenses are either paid directly or reimbursed by the employer. Independent contractors normally pay all their own business and travel expenses without reimbursement. Significant investment. An employee generally has little or no investment in the business. Instead, an employee is economically dependent on the employer. True independent contractors usually have a substantial financial investment in their independent business. Profit or loss. An employee does not ordinarily realize a profit or loss in the business. Rather, employees are paid for services rendered. An independent contractor can either realize a profit or suffer a loss, depending on the management of expenses and revenues. The right to quit without liability. An employee may quit work at any time without liability on the employee's part. An independent contractor is legally responsible for job completion and, on quitting, becomes liable for breach of contract. The right to discharge without liability. An employee can be discharged at any time without liability on the employer's part. If the work meets the contract terms, an independent contractor can't be fired without liability for breach of contract. Let's see how this plays out in a common church scenario. Let's take a church cleaning example. An independent contractor would be a person or a business that your church hires to clean the church, like a cleaning company. They provide the labor, the tools, and the cleaning supplies. They submit an invoice or a statement for payment based on a negotiated amount. They take care of paying their employees, filing payroll taxes, workers' comp, and liability insurance. In accordance with Georgia-Cumberland Conference policy, they provide proof of $1 million in liability insurance before the church can hire them. In return, the church pays them as agreed upon in the contract. At the end of the year, the treasurer files a 1099 with the IRS, stating the amount that has been paid to them for the year if it is $600 or more. If your church board chooses to hire a member and pays them as an independent contractor at a flat rate, they should also provide their own tools and supplies, have a contract, bill you with a monthly statement, take care of their own taxes, and carry a $1 million liability insurance policy. If they don't do those things, if they just come to work, use the church's vacuum cleaner and supplies, and then leave without a contract and without liability insurance, they are an employee and should be paid as an employee. If your church decides, after looking over the various points, to hire a church member to clean the church as an employee, we highly recommend that you use Georgia-Cumberland Conference locally funded payroll. In fact, if you opt to handle your own payroll, not only will you have to handle FICA, federal, and state taxes on your own, and also file 941s, W-2s, and W-3s, and workers' comp procedures, but you will be outside of North American Division policy. So we recommend that you sign up for local payroll through the Georgia-Cumberland Conference, and the conference will take care of most of those details. The next videos will walk you through a description of that process. Once the employee sign-up is complete, you would just take 5 minutes every 2 weeks to log in and enter your employee's hours on the provided website, because your employee will need to keep track of their hours on a timesheet that the conference will provide, and enter the electronic check that is deducted from the church checking account into Jewel. This check includes all payroll and Social Security taxes. There's no processing charge. The conference will take care of all the rest. The employee will receive their check every 2 weeks and a W-2 in January. There will be no additional cost for liability insurance, since employees are covered by the policy that you already pay for. Unfortunately, some churches may unknowingly choose to hire a member to clean their church and just pay a flat rate, without paying taxes or requiring liability insurance. I've heard things like, "But we've always done it this way." "It's too complicated to change. We don't want to." "But this member needs the money. We are helping them out." Please don't do that. This would put your church at risk of significant fines if either the IRS or the Department of Labor got involved. For example, if the contractor was audited. Also, if the contractor is injured on the job, slipped and fell, or had a mowing accident, they would be responsible for their own medical bills, since independent contractors are not covered by the church's liability insurance. One of the most common questions I hear is, why do they need all that liability insurance? In today's world, we can no longer afford to pretend that bad things will not happen in a church setting. If your church were to hire anyone, from a custodian to a worship leader, as an independent contractor without requiring liability insurance, and they are injured, or if they accidentally damage the church building, or if it is discovered that they assaulted someone or harmed a child while at your church, and a lawsuit ensues, the local church has taken the risk for paying all of it. We all need to work together and follow the guidelines to protect our churches, our members, our children, and our facilities. In the next video, we will help you navigate the locally funded payroll services that the Georgia-Cumberland Conference provides.